step, people return to their homes, and with the joint efforts of volunteers and public administration, the hope is given to people. This is the context which we use to speak to our to have our speakers on the ear by Skype. Do you hear us? Yes. The first, when we start, please talk. Good afternoon. Today, the regional administration put the most efforts to find out the losses, amounts, and to restore the roads and infrastructure of the communications and of course residential housing. The preliminary estimated losses are 105 billions. 9,000 houses have been damaged, including 500 houses completely ruined. Now the works are conducted on 315 facilities public housing resource. The funds sent from the regional administration funds, there 186,000 from the local budget, and also the funds of 101 million from international charitable organizations and other charities. As concerned institutional aspect, the governor held the meeting where it was said that each ruined house, each ruined social facility should be addressed, as well as each businessman, each utility, each private company, and each farmer should be addressed to estimate the scope of losses and the scope of rehabilitation works to reconstruct the housing and other utilities and facilities, because we should understand what is the real scope of damage. The second matter is what have already been done. In the first turn, the residential houses in each local and national budget, with the assistance of international and national charities, the windows and roofing have almost been replaced completely. We are now at the final stage so that we can provide warm houses for our residents. This concerns the residential houses. Many people now live outside the region, but those houses where people are going to stay this winter, those houses are ready for winter. The problems of residential stock is the most complicated because we have not only small one-family houses, we also have a very acute problem in Lysychansk, where two multi-storied buildings have been ruined, and the house number 17, which is well known from the last year, so that this ruined house should be compensated. The apartments which people used to have in that house should be compensated with money to those people who used to live there. We asked our government to address this matter, and we hope that 113 families which lived lived in that house, they will get compensations from the government, from some reserves of the national budget. Now these people live at their friends' places, their relatives' places. The most critical situation was in Luhansk village in Popasna district, which was the most close to the contact line, because the level of the level of ruining is the highest in those districts. The kindergartens have already been rehabilitated there, as well as the hospitals of first aid and social assistance social assistance premises. They also have been repaired and reconstructed, and the orphanage and the center of disabled children rehabilitation, they have been also reconstructed and the operation recovered, and the medical institutions of the regional level, they have also been repaired and ready for operation. 300 facilities are now under repair, and our technical experts observe and monitor the works underway, the works ongoing on these 300 facilities, and we plan to complete the construction works on these 300 facilities. We would like that the first matter is addressed, which is a master plan of reconstruction of all the facilities and houses in the region. The second is the selection procedure and control and watchdog over the complete repair should be organized. For this reason, commissions are established in which each village and each town in the region, and we ask our MPs and civil servants and civil society to control and monitor the process, so that the transparency of the process is ensured and the quality and full scope of works should be watched over. We should avoid the situations where only windows are replaced, but the other works are not completed. We should put efforts to avoid such situations. We understand the lack of finance, which that is why we put priorities. Which works are the first priority, the top priority, and which could go as a second stage. So I hope that public administration, along with civil society, will cope with all the problems. Thank you very much for such quantitative and qualitative information which you have provided to us. And now we give the floor to Pastor Mr. Dudnyk.
I hear you loud and clear, and the floor is given to you. Starting from the beginning of the war in Slavyansk, I lived there, and it was April 2014, and at the end of the April we started evacuation of people, and we evacuated 4,000 people. Not only evacuated, but we helped them with housing and food products. We are active part of society. I'm a pastor, and my people. They gathered, and we supported people during evacuation. Then we provide them with some food products because people were hungry, and the city was destroyed. And the first 10 days we tried to help with food products because our volunteers found that 2 people died of hunger. It was in July 2014, and economy should rise, and there were some aids and assistance, and many houses were destroyed in Slavyansk, and we participated in helping people to restore their houses. And during the last year, or 1.5 years, our team, volunteers from Western Ukraine, from Central Ukraine, even volunteers from Russia came. And we organized building teams who came and helped to restore buildings. They found materials, then they were held by international organizations in Slavyansk. We restored 132 houses, roofing, about 190 houses, windows, and we saw other challenges in frontline cities. Now, if we are speaking about Luhansk Oblast, some statistics, we heard that this city was damaged, and there are many damaged houses there, and several teams of volunteers from Western Ukraine, they came to build a home for 310 slates, and in Popasna they also built houses with those who stayed. And there's a story about a girl, Vlada. She's an orphan raised by grandmother and grandfather. She went to her relative, and her house was destroyed. Her grandparents were killed. It's a tragic story. And church and partners, we decided to restore this building. And now there's roofing and works on repair and insulation of the building started. And Popasna Zoltea, we work 10 sites to help people with installing windows and with roofing. And Miropolsky, near Debaltseva, 7 kilometers from Debaltseva, Svetlodarsk, Avdiivka, Krasnogorovka. This is the zone of our action. And we restored about 198 homes, and 9 homes were built from scratch. It's easier for us to solve these problems because we have a will. Volunteers try to help. We don't have bureaucratic procedures. And there's a will, and we search for resources and help people. And I think that my conclusions, first, we may say that the nation is gathered because we were mixed because of this events. People went maybe to the west, in the western regions. People from the western regions came to the east, so they started to act. And people in the western Ukraine, they work very effectively. I even asked my children to come and see how these people work. And I want to thank volunteers who are mainly religious people. They feel pain of other people as their own pain. And there's a team from Carpathian region who went to Slavyansk and yesterday in Karlovka near Peski, 4 people restored about 3 houses in the recent week. Next week, a team of volunteers from Kirovograd, they are going to restore houses as well. I'm thankful to those people, and that this was showed that Ukraine and people who live in Ukraine, they are not egoist. As they say, that some people say that people are disintegrated, but when war came, it showed that people leave their houses, they come to other people and try to help. And I think that maybe it's a separate topic, but it's important to speak about responsibility of people who live here in the East. Not about the situation, but responsibility for their own life. Because some people think that someone should come and help and that the state is to blame. But some people think that they just have to stay and wait and do nothing. And I think that all the situation will help Donbass to take its level of responsibility. And the person should think how I can help others. And when a person asks himself about this, all political misunderstandings, they go away because I react to the pain of other people. Thank you, Piotr. And now questions and comments. And I have a question to Yelyzaveta. As to restoration of housing, what are humanitarian organizations of cooperation? In residential housing, Norwegian project, pro-UNO, and also help UNDP and other organizations, Japanese project as well, America, and Ukrainian American initiative, and Norwegian Council on the Refugees. It's the biggest help. And they provided some materials for roofing, and they proposed also an algorithm how to rebuild. We have 4 families who agree that their house will be built, and the Norwegian side will provide materials, and the family will rebuild the house. And as my colleague, pastor, from the position of the volunteers, he said that we should provide some assistance, volunteers who will provide some help in construction works, because there should be the project envisages that people should rebuild these houses themselves. And this project works, and in about 3 months is provided for the rebuilding of the house due to technologies. And according to this program, the maximum we can restore the maximum amount of number of buildings. And the materials will be provided, and all the expenses are put on organizations, volunteers, and people.
To renew the houses, of course, slates and glazing are needed. Which international humanitarian organization you cooperate with? I know you work with the Czech NGO. One of our reliable partners is people in need, an NGO, and in fact they have provided many construction materials. There were other NGOs which we cooperated with in Slaviansk, but now we actively cooperate with Pino. They supply materials, construction materials, and our volunteers put their workmanship. Thank you, Mr. Dudnyk. Now questions. I would like to finalize. International organizations and we face some problems. All cities and towns where we work, all of them are in the so-called gray area. They are Popasna, Avdiivka, Mariinka, Krasnogorivka, and access to those towns is under high control. When we bring humanitarian assistance freights, the so-called fiscal system press on us very much, and we experience huge problems with access to those towns which are on the controlled territory, on the Ukrainian government controlled territory, so that our assistance which we bring could get access without any hindering. When we were bringing glass, we were denied access, so a lot of glass was broken because we went through by the fields. And now I have a question to Ms. Pushko-Tsybuliak. What are the new the novelties which you introduce, and could your experience be replicated in other regions at their public administrations when restoration of residential houses is in question? Yes, for this purpose we established a headquarters which can very fast address the matters of rehabilitation of houses. And the second is that we have drafted the master plan of rehabilitation of residential housing and infrastructure. The next question, please. Katerina Zavada. I have a question to Ms. Pushko-Tsybuliak. Do you cooperate with the Agency of Restoration of Donbass, and what you have done? Of course, we cooperate with this organization. We have raised all the problems and we have gained consensus with this organization, and we would like to achieve understanding of the leaders of the state that we need comprehensive approach to residential housing problems in Luhansk region, where the houses were ruined. The compensations should be provided to people, to victims. And the second, for those houses which are repairable, people should get their houses rehabilitated completely. Thank you, Ms. Pushko-Tsybuliak, for your so full speech. Of course, we will have other Skype conferences with you in future. And now, to finalize the briefing, I would like to say that the pilot project Peaceful Speaker of Peaceful Life will proceed to communicate you information and the ways how to support to IDPs so that they can restart their normal lives on the territories which are freed from the militants. Thank